Well, gang, here we are. We're back. We talked about boat insurance last time and the hell that I went through with the whole thing. And Andrew is back with us again because a lot more information has come out. Not only that, we're going to talk about really what I think is a huge, I don't know, it's an issue. It's just something to talk about is boat ownership down in the BVI. Should you charter a boat only, or should you own a boat and keep it down there for a while, which is what I tried to do. Two really different things with a lot of different costs and a lot of different dangers and the in and outs and what have you. And Mr. Ball here knows all about it. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Alan.
You got called in today. So you had a little accident down there again, huh?
Yeah, I mean, these things happen. We got a lot of boats here, so it was, just probability. But
Right.
we had a boat that started to sink last night, so not one of mine, but sort of got called in as a crisis manager to help put it all together and cover all the bases. So.
Because that's what you do, right? You just fix everybody's problems down there. That's what
I
I've heard.
I try.
Hey, so listen, I thought the reaction to our video about the insurance thing was great. I thought that the comments that we saw on YouTube were very positive. I think people really appreciated the information about how insurance companies work or don't work for you. Now, we're going to get to a really weird subject here. So, as you noted in the last video about my salvage in my policy, that it was only for 50,000. And of course, as we know, the salvage company down there, the both of them tried to hit me for $500,000. And so we went through that whole process. And so at one point during the process, when I realized that they were going to play ball and things were going to go south for me, I went ahead and asked for that $50,000. And it was said to me that they were going to send it to the representation of the salvage company. Well, apparently that never happened. And apparently that 45,000 sat in a trust somewhere between Ion and Edward Williams representation and representation from salvage company. However, or wherever, my representation found it recently, and all of a sudden I got $45,000 from the insurance company for the salvage. Can you explain to me any logic whatsoever in any of this, Mr. Ball?
So,
Because really, I mean, if they're paying me this, then they're saying that they're paying part of the claim. They're paying the salvage claim. Is that completely separate?
This is kind of why I say no, right? I mean, I look at this and I'm like, okay, the coverage is in the policy, regardless of what pot of money you're looking at, whether it's what we call protection indemnity, which is basically liability, or sue and labor, or salvage, or your hull and machinery, which is the value of your boat. All of that is subject to the conditions of the policy, right? And so, to me, I'm kind of sitting here going, well, they denied the claim, so why are they paying out on part of it? And if they're paying out on part of it, why aren't they paying out on all of it? It doesn't quite add up, but I think you've probably been caught up in a bit of a mix-up. I mean, you remember when we were negotiating this out
Yes.
at the time, and we said, well, in the meantime, we've still got to settle this thing with salvers, so let's deal with that concurrently. And they basically said, well, your limit's 50 grand, so that's what we're going to pay. And we couldn't really argue with that. Unfortunately, that's where we were. So we said, okay, well then pay it. And so they did. I would almost take that as a signal that at the time they thought they were going to pay the claim. Because otherwise, why would they release anything, right?
If I could interrupt you, I'll remind you when I finally asked for the 50,000, 45 minus the 10%, that's when they went silent.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear from for a week. And then the next thing I hear was your claim is going to be denied.
But generally when they go silent, it's because it's like, it's real now. We've got to write a check. So we better cross our T's and dot our I's. That comes before writing the check.
Right.
And in this case, it seems clear, they proverbially wrote the check, or metaphorically wrote the check. Now it's sort of come back and it's obviously ended up in your hands because it doesn't belong to the salvers because they got the boat.
And this is just me talking. And again, this entire series has only been about what happened to me. I am not saying every insurance company is this way, every agent is this way, every person gets treated exactly this way. I just want to be very clear to everyone. I am just talking about what has happened to me.
Almost a decade of doing this, most of the insurers that I've worked with are quite reasonable. They're in business to make money, and the way to make money is to have happy customers. It's not to deny claims.
So I'm not sure what else to say about this particular issue. It's confounding. I don't understand it. I've got some more money to spend. I've got a few ideas on how to spend it. Complete insanity of one person not talking to another person and craziness. Anyway.
It doesn't seem very well stitched together, that's for sure.
Well, I will also say, I think a lot of people would say to me now, well, then that means that has opened the door to revisiting the actual claim. And again, I'm not doing that. I'm moving on. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm moving on. I'm doing something else. I'm moving towards another goal, and I'm headed that direction, and it's a happy goal. So I'm moving on. Let's switch gears, for crying out loud. A really, really great comment came up after our video about, is it really worth owning your own boat and taking it down to the BVI and leaving it there for a few years? Or is it really better to just go charter? And it's a really interesting question. And my answer always was, I have been in those charter boats. Some of them are in fantastic shape. Some of them are in horrible shape. And I wanted it to be my boat. I wanted it to have my personality with the stuff that I wanted in it, decorated by my wife, and I wanted it to be the Carter boat, right? So the Wandering Hillbilly, and that was my reasoning. Financially, when it's all said and done, was that the smartest thing that ever happened? No, but that was an accident, and accidents happen. Right? For the average person thinking about buying their own boat and taking it down to the BVI versus let's just keep chartering, I'm kind of leaning on just keep chartering. What do you think?
What you should really reasonably hope to do is offset your usage.
Let me interrupt you and say, you're talking about individually chartering, or are you talking about buying a boat and putting it into a charter company like MarineMax or Moorings or something like that?
I'm talking about buying a boat and owning a boat that's in charter. It doesn't actually really matter which model it's in, but the dream, the model, is really to put a boat in charter and cover your costs. So when you're using it, it's like you're out on a charter, but it's costing you nothing. And there are many different sort of flavors to do that with. I mean, there are guaranteed payment models. Right. So you can buy a boat, put it in a charter company, and they'll say, we'll pay you X $1,000 per month, whether the boat goes out or not, no matter what happens to it, no matter what our maintenance cost is, we take care of all of that, we absorb all of that. There are other models where they'll say, okay, we'll pay you a commission on the charters that go out, and all the maintenance costs are yours. So if you have a good year and nothing breaks, that's fantastic. And if you have a bad year and everything breaks, that's on you. It's not on us.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're allowing them to have control of the charter, they're only giving you 4 weeks out of the year to use the boat, right? As opposed to you owning it and you're responsible for the maintenance, you can kind of have it whenever you want.
It depends on the model you go with, right? So there are people that own bareboats that will come and take them away for 6 months, and they'll go cruise the Caribbean, and then they'll come and drop them right back in the fleet. And obviously there's a trade-off there. They don't get an income during that time. And one of the key factors here is what that contract length is, because charter companies don't like to have old boats. The operating expenditure goes up. I've got one client, they're on their 5th boat with their charter company.
Let's bring it back to an average guy who wants to take his family out to the BVI on a charter, which now this is a huge range, as you know, because this could be a 30-something footer sailboat, which is not that expensive to take out to the BVI, or we could be talking about a 54-footer, a 53-footer from Moorings or MarineMax, which is going to cost you a lot more money, especially if it's crewed, right? So let's get back to this guy. That guy thinking about taking his family and what have you. I got to think at this point they're thinking, man, I am just going to charter because this is just the easiest thing to actually go out there, experience it, walk away, and not have to worry about anything else. It's got to be more desirable to any person in that way, in that regard, right?
It's low liability, it's low stress, but you're paying somebody's profit margin. So it depends how often you're going to do it. A lot of the yacht owners that we have here, have dreams of once their 3 to 5 years is up in their charter fleet, they're going to take their boat and they're going to cruise, or they're going to sail around the world, or most of them don't end up doing it, in fairness, but there's a dream that somebody's trying to achieve. Boats are pretty personal things. You get emotionally attached to them. If you're going to put it in charter, you kind of have to let go of that and just treat it as a tool, a thing. Right.
Well, look, as far as my next option, this has been one of the things that I've been thinking about, because the liability thing obviously would be nice not to have for just a little bit longer. You know what I mean? So it's one of the things I've been talking about. So I'm not quite quite sure. But anyway, I also think that what I would tend to want to do is to take how many weeks a year would I get it? What would it cost me if I charter a boat that size, that many weeks? And look at that number versus how much they're giving me per month, and then the depreciation at the end of it, and then divide that up, and that tells me how much each trip costs.
There's a little bit more math to put in there, though, and
Okay.
I think you've got the right approach, because it's a business decision, it's an asset. We do this with clients all the time. We do pro formas on it just to try and crunch the numbers. But the other question is, which weeks do you want to use?
True.
Right? It's going to be much harder to book Christmas than it is to book, a week in the middle of August. If you put a boat in charter, you have to kind of commit to the fact that now you're in business. The ultimate boat for you may not be the ultimate boat to put into charter. All those bells and whistles that cost more to maintain and you really need to know how to operate, charter companies won't take that. You're kind of stuck with what they're willing to take.
Really, what this video is kind of really saying is there's two types of folks. There's folks who are interested in owning a boat and being part of a charter company situation. And then there's folks who don't give a damn about owning a boat or buying a boat, and they just want to go down and charter and have a great time. So those are two different types of folks we're talking about here. And so what I'm feeling, though, is that if you've been down there and experienced it and been with a reputable company, it is worth it. It is an amazing charter, is it not?
Absolutely. These companies are there to save you the stress. These guys, they've got everything handled, and they're vertically integrated, they're set up, you call them, they're there in 15 minutes. They also have redundancy. So if something happens to your boat and you're flying down tomorrow, guess what? They got another one. You just go straight out.
I was about to say, like if you're going into, I don't know, any bay these days, especially right now, every ball is taken.
Yep.
Every night, right? It's a popular place. All right, well, my man, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. We talked about a lot, actually. I'm still going to go to bed confused about my extra money that I have, but I'm still trying to figure out a good way to spend it. I'm sure I will, okay? Oh, by the way, so this trip I'm taking up to Canada on the boat through Trent Severn, and this guy tells me this is where he grew up.
So,
is that true? Are you lying to me? Is this true?
No. I mean, entirely coincidence. Funnily enough, I'm going to be there while you're there. It's my 20-year boarding school reunion. But I went to boarding school on Lake Catchwanuka, which you'll go through. I grew up in a house on Pigeon Lake, which you'll go through. And I've done the entire Trent Severn at least twice with my family on their boat. You're going to get really tired of locks, but you're going to see really cool stuff, and you're going to relive some of my childhood in a weird way.
That's odd. How's that sound?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll send you some notes on places to stop.
Thank you. That would be awesome. All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Have a great day, man.
Thanks, Alan. You have a great one.